What are your thoughts on week one?
It was a really good week. 4 days out of 5 playing at the pace that we play at. When in spring ball you're not going to have the depth and the numbers that you will have in the fall. Our guys are in good shape. Our guys have competed. It's been hard. The coaches have been relentless in terms of getting after them. And the encouraging thing is I think they understand the expectation now of how we're going to play, because this is not an offensive thing. This changes everything in your program. And I think they're enjoying it. And I think today's practice, we did some live work today, full tackling to the ground. We did some move the ball situational stuff. And I think the guys are seeing, there's a different edge about us. There's certainly a different edge about us offensively, and that will do nothing but get us better defensively.
Obviously, you mentioned the tackling today was kind of the first day. Moving forward, there'll be more of that, I guess. But is there something in terms of tangible, like, hey, these guys really showed me something in terms of growth from the end of last season to now?
With the players, with the team, I suppose you mean?
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm talking to you after just watching it on the field and not even been inside and watched the film. But what I know is is I know they're competing, and what's happening now is they, in essence, have no choice, because, for this thing to work, I mean, the gas pedal's got to get pushed down all the way, and anyone who doesn't have it pushed down all the way is now completely obvious to not just the coaches but to the rest of their teammates. So one of the great things about what we're doing is it puts the pressure up on everybody, and it's such a high intensity operation now. It's very hard for a guy to not bring it every day. And like I said, I think the most rewarding thing after week one is that no one seems to be shying away from that.
Hey Manny, Kelly Lockett is officially on the staff, or not yet?
There's still some paperwork things that we're, if you're using the word officially, that we're hurdling.
He'll be an offensive analyst?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so what is that role exactly? How do you sort of envision that working with him?
Well, so you have offensive analysts, offensive quality control coaches, so they can work with a position group, they can be in meeting rooms, they can be part of the film study, those type of things. They can't be involved in in essence, the directing of the players in a coaching manner, but they can certainly have a lot of impact on our staff in terms of when they watch, whether it's opponents, whether it's, self-scouting, our own team.
I mean, not to interrupt, but he is a big recruiting influence. Can he talk to kids when they're on campus?
Of course, yeah, of course, which is a major, I would say a major benefit to our program as well. So yeah, I mean, and it's been, we're really excited about, like I said, when it officially becomes official.
And the no U on the helmet, is that by design? Is there a reason behind that? It's been done in the past for reasons. Yeah,
that's not going to make us good or not good in the fall. There were some guys, in last fall, there were some guys didn't, and we just said, we'll put the U's on later. But if that's all it took to get your team to play harder, everybody would play harder.
When do you think Ed will be here? We didn't see him physically. I don't know if he was. But.
Yeah, when we hired him, this was a week that we knew that early on there were things that he was already committed to from a time standpoint. So Ed was here, I would say, during the majority of our off-season program. This is a week that he was going to be gone. When we come back for spring break, for spring practice, Ed will be back.
How much does the offensive tempo help the defense, do you think, and maybe how does it affect their learning, if at all?
Well, the learning is where it begins, because if you think you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing, because it comes at you so fast. And so you can see our younger players, our more inexperienced players, I mean, it is a real challenge for them, because when you nod your head in the meeting room, and which is great though, because what's going to do is it's going to force them to get more into their playbooks. It's going to force them to watch film on their own. It's going to force them to ask better questions in the meeting room, because they come out here, like I said today, and some of the drills we did today, and young guys are going to always get exposed, but in this deal, it looks really, really bad. So it's been really good for them. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a chaos that we're so used to playing in, that when we get in the games, our games are easy.
You've now had a week of Derek King here. Is it everything you imagined, or how would you assess that?
In terms of what I've imagined, I imagine Derek being a great leader, being a great teammate. You can see what he does when he has the ball in his hands in terms of the plays he makes with his arm and his feet. But what is equally as exciting is just some of the connections he makes with the players in between series. We'll break a run and somehow the quarterback is 3 yards behind the running back running down the field. Just those type of intangible things from the quarterback position I think are so important. And And we had heard good things about Derek in that regard, and to see it now after the first week of practice has been very exciting.
Is there any takeaway you can make between the end of the first week of practice last spring and the end of the first week of practice this spring, just in terms of where the team's at overall?
It's just it's different for two reasons. It's just different because of the people we have here. Because of course, everything this time last year would have been positive and hooray and whatever. Also, and guess what? There's 130 teams playing spring ball right now, and no one's talking about we're going to find a way to go 0-12, right? I mean, everybody's got some sense of optimism. It's like baseball starting, right? That's what April always is in Major League Baseball. So I get all that. It's but what I keep coming back to is that there's just not the same people here that were last year. So it is however it appears on the surface, it's just different. And the people that are here can feel the difference because they know they're around a different style of people. Now, there's no question that what's happening offensively and what's happening in terms of the pace of play at practice changes everything. Every guy in the locker room would tell you we're not playing the same sport we played a year ago. And again, it's not going to be the scheme that saves us. It's not going to be the magical plays that save us. It's going to be the young men we have, the decisions that they make, and the how that we play with. And I think that's the coolest thing. What we're doing now is you have to force the how, because it doesn't work at half speed. It's got to be done with all you have at all times, and I think that would be the biggest difference.
Manny, Brevin Jordan, I know he was just sitting here throwing, and he's in a boot. We know he wasn't going to be here for spring, but did he have surgery? Just so we know.
On the foot deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, I don't know if you ever said that. Okay, thanks.
I don't know if I did either.
Yeah.
Quincy USA, just kind of early impressions of him and how he's fitting in. And
Same. Quincy again, much like Derek, hard worker. A guy who just comes in and just wants to earn the respect of the locker room by just going hard. I mean, obviously, in that now in practice, you can see he's got some things that make him hard to block. He's got some athleticism about him. He can bend. He can turn a corner. He's a different style of rusher than a Rousseau. So it's a different body type, a little bit of a different skill set. So having him and then getting Jalen Phillips for his first week, he's a different guy. He's got some different skills than the other two have, but all those guys are a problem. Then you throw in Jafari Harvey, Cam Williams has had a good first week. So again, defensive end, which should always be a glamour position on this defense at this school now and forever through recruiting. I think those guys are right in line with what the University of Miami should have at that position.
Let's do two more questions.
I want to ask you about Jalar Holly. I think we've seen him a little bit, first team action. What's he taken a jump with, I guess, since last season?
Jalar is number one, he's got a great passion for the game. He plays that way. He's a very active player. He probably has the most active hands, as violent hands as anyone that has in our defensive tackle room. He, like all young players, are still learning pad level, but you can see where when he gets it and plays with the techniques that that Coach Stroud teaches him with, that he's got the athleticism to make a play, right? To me, the thing at that position is not just to be big, but to have the agility to be able to make things happen, and Jalar has that. And Jared Harrison Hunt's also had a really, really good first week. Very athletic player, like we talked about, but what's shown up this week is just his power. I mean, he's had some plays where he's taken some guards and knocked some guards back. So we've always felt very highly of those young D tackles we signed a year ago, and they've both showed well the first week.
The offensive line, how they adjusted to tempo and kind of mixing and matching some guys, different positions.
Yeah, I have been so impressed in the way that you can take a running play that everyone runs, which is inside zone, and in 4 days they look like they've been running it for their entire life. To the point where I went over up to one of our graduate assistants and I said, I can't believe we've been doing this for 4 days and already look so polished. And again, and by no stretch does that mean that we've got it all figured out and we're ready to take on the world, but they are making obvious improvements, and that showed up today because again in those live drills today, a bunch of those runs started spitting out. When all of a sudden the defense might have been thudding a guy or tagging off on a guy, when it was full blown tackle today, we could run the ball. And obviously that was a very sore spot for us a year ago. So, like I said, it's just the first day that we're really in full pads, but I think they will take some confidence after their first week with Garen Justice.
Thanks, everybody.